Revealed, how a billionaire heir's hidden identity led to an incredible, life-changing love story. Jake Thompson's hands were caked with grease, his heart heavy with worry. At 28, he was a mechanic in a bustling Chicago garage, working long hours just to scrape by. His mother's health was declining, and every dollar he earned felt like a lifeline stretched thin. But beneath that car-paint-smeared exterior and the layer of exhaustion was a fire and unyielding determination to rise above the challenges life hurled at him. Despite his smiling facade, Jake often felt the heavy presence of economic injustice. The vibrant urban neighborhood buzzed around him, filled with the sounds of laughter and life, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that he was always on the outside looking in. Then, Emily Martinez entered his world like a burst of sunshine. The passionate social worker had a laugh that echoed in the darkest corners of his soul. It was contagious, brilliant, and full of warmth. Together, they volunteered at local food banks, their playful banter blending seamlessly with the kitchen's lively din. "Tell me your story, Jake," Emily teased one evening, stirring a pot of soup. Jake looked down, tightening his grip on the counter. "It's nothing special. Just a guy trying to make it for his mom." Her laughter invited him to open up, and he found himself sharing his struggles, his hopes, each word drenched in raw vulnerability. As they laughed and worked together, a bond formed. Impromptu moments of tenderness, stolen glances, shared dreams. But in the backdrop, he felt Emily's affluent family casting their shadow on him. Their expectations weighed like bricks, as if his worth could be quantified by the dollar signs on his shirt. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One fateful evening, a chance encounter spun everything on its head. Jake stumbled upon an old family photograph at a community gathering, and the name on the back sent chills down his spine. Hidden within his modest upbringing was a lineage dripping with wealth, a multi-billion-dollar fortune untouched since betrayal shattered his family long ago. Panic surged through him. His life had been defined by grit and struggle. Was he now supposed to embrace this privilege? Realizations crashed around him like a tidal wave, and soon whispers of their romance ricocheted off brick walls. What would happen to Emily, caught between her parents' expectations and her newfound love? The very foundation they built seemed to shake, threatening to fracture beneath the weight of unspoken judgments. Jake faced his estranged relatives, preparing for a family reunion that felt like stepping into a minefield of hidden resentments. Each encounter could change everything. As uncertainty loomed, Jake's heart raced with questions. Could he reconcile his loyalty to the working class and the legacy he'd been forced to confront? Would their love survive the complicated weave of wealth and societal judgment? In the face of enormous transformations, both Jake and Emily found themselves standing at a precipice, their love caught in the storm of revelations. Jake stood outside the grand mansion, its towering frame a stark contrast to his humble apartment. The family reunion was supposed to be healing, a chance to reconnect with relatives he had never known, and yet every part of him screamed to run. Clenching his fists, he could feel the worn leather of his old work boots digging into the grass. The whispers from the gathering inside twisted in his mind. Was he ready for this? As he stepped through the door, the air thickened with uncertainty. Laughter echoed through the ornate living room, but it felt distant, like an old song he couldn't quite recall. He noticed the family portrait hanging on the wall, a polished clan, their perfect smiles spotlighted by soft lighting. Jake swallowed hard. That image represented everything he had pushed away, everything he feared he could never be. "Jake!" A voice broke through the haze. His cousin, Miles, approached with open arms and an easy grin. Despite their shared blood, Jake felt like an outsider. The first hug didn't feel warm, it felt suffocating. "You look good, man. It's been ages. Can't believe you're finally here." "Yeah," Jake replied, his voice nearly lost in the crowded room. "Thanks for having me." Jake moved further inside, half listening to conversations swirling around him. Thoughts of Emily crept into the shadows of his mind. Would she even understand this world? The expectations, the masks people wore. She was all heart. Could she live in a life full of pretense? "Jake!" Another voice, this time his aunt, rushed to his side, her arms wide, her eyes glistening with tears. "You've grown so much. I can't believe it's really you." The constant attention was overwhelming. Each hug and kiss felt like a reminder of how far removed he was from this life of privilege. Amidst the chatter, a voice cut through the surface. "Wonder how he'll handle the family legacy," one relative whispered, their laughter mingling with the low hum of conversation. It hit Jake like a punch to the gut. The legacy, was it really his? Or was he just an unwanted spark in a long-standing fire? Taking a step back, he spotted a quiet corner of the room. There, surrounded by extravagant decor, he could breathe. But the comfort was fleeting. From across the room, he caught sight of his estranged father, an imposing figure in a tailored suit, chatting with executives. Their eyes met, and time halted. "What are you doing here?" The thought screamed in Jake's mind. He had spent years crafting a life removed from this man, this world. The moment was cut short as a sudden burst of laughter interrupted. Emily's face flashed in his mind, her light grounding him. In that instant, Jake recognized the true battle ahead was not only with his family but within himself, and then, a sudden realization jolted him. What if he turned the tables? What if he demanded not only his place but also left an indelible mark on this family? Jake squared his shoulders, adrenaline coursing through him. The uncertain storm swirling inside him transformed into a hurricane of determination. As he made his way back into the fray, ready to confront both heritage and expectations, the doors swung open, heralding newcomers. The crowd parted, revealing a figure, and his heart dropped. Emily stood there, her eyes scanning the room, and then locking onto his. What would happen when their worlds collided? Would she help him navigate this tempest? Or would the weight of his past push her away forever? Jake felt the stakes rise uncomfortably high as their gazes met. Something had to give. He could either drown in the tide of wealth and judgment, or rise above it, hand in hand with the woman who made him feel worth more than just a name or a fortune. With every heartbeat, he knew they were about to face a reckoning that would shake the foundations of everything they believed in, and be the test of their love. Jake's heart pounded as he locked his gaze on Emily. Time slowed down, every whispered conversation around him fading into a dull hum. She looked radiant, the soft glow of the chandelier illuminating her warm smile and the way her hair fell gently over her shoulders. In that moment, she felt like his anchor, the one honest emotion in a sea of confusion, but the crowd pressed in. Relatives shifted, adjustment of bodies to make room for Emily as she walked closer, an eager energy radiating around her. She greeted the family, exchanging laughter and comments that felt so foreign to Jake. Each smile felt like a reminder of everything he struggled to fit into. Would they expect her to conform too? Would they see their differences as a flaw? Isn't this place something? Emily asked, her eyes wide with wonder as she took in the ornate surroundings, the high ceilings, the lavish decor, the glimmer of wealth that sparkled everywhere. She turned back to Jake, her eyes seeking him with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "You okay? You seem a bit tense." "Yeah, just, taking it all in," Jake managed, trying to sound nonchalant, but he could feel the walls closing in. Without a moment's hesitation, Emily reached out and grasped his hand. The warmth of her touch sent a ripple of comfort through him, grounding him in what mattered most. "You're not alone, you know. I'm right here." The moment hung between them, electric and raw. But the tension in the air shifted when his father's voice rang out, cutting through the atmosphere. "Ah, so this is the infamous Emily I've heard so much about." The emphasis on infernal felt like a gauntlet thrown at Jake's feet. Jake's grip tightened on her hand. The weight of the world bore down on him as he glanced at his father. The man stood tall, confidence oozing from every polished detail of his suit, the knowing smirk gracing his lips a stark reminder of what he represented. A man bound by legacy, status, and expectations. "Nice to meet you," she replied, remaining unfazed by the intimidating presence, her voice steady. Jake admired her courage. "Jake speaks very highly of you." "Does he?" His father chuckled, the sound rolling over the crowd like a wave. "I hope he hasn't scared you away from what family means." "Family is everything," Emily said, her eyes firmly on Jake, ready to back him up. "But it's also about being true to yourself, right?" Her words leveled the room with honesty. Jake felt the weight shift slightly. Emily was daring to challenge his kind, the very expectations he was petrified of confronting. Jake's heart swelled, but his father's laughter cut through the moment like ice. "Well, we'll see how long that lasts, we can't all run away from our roots, Jake." Those words settled heavy in the air, a reminder that some pasts are harder to shake than others. It was a challenge, a threat. The question loomed: could he truly carve out his place in this family? With Emily at his side, would he find the strength to break free, to claim his own identity without losing her? Inside, a fire ignited. Maybe, just maybe, he could face this head-on. But what price would he have to pay for standing up for himself and for Emily? Their gazes met again, a silent understanding passing between them. In this moment, with family and legacy swirling around them, Jake could see the possibility of a new path, one forged by their own will. But uncertainty loomed like dark clouds over the horizon. What would happen when the past came crashing back, demanding its due? The crowd shifted again, and Jake's thoughts raced. He took a deep breath, reminded that love might pave the way, but courage would light the path ahead. What was he willing to fight for? With the stakes heightened, the tension in the room simmering, they faced what was to come, knowing it would test not just their love, but the very foundations of who they were. The moment hung heavy, cocooning Jake and Emily like a fragile bubble. The air buzzed with unspoken challenges, and Jake could feel the eyes of his family darting between them, assessing, judging. "What's this?" Jake's sister, Sarah, waded through the throng, her blonde hair catching the light as she approached. A hint of skepticism sparkled in her blue eyes. "Are we going to have to sit through an engagement announcement or something? You two aren't secretly planning a wedding, are you?" The laughter in her voice seemed aimed to lighten the mood but stumbled awkwardly in the tense atmosphere. "Not yet," Jake replied, forcing a smile. He glanced sideways at Emily. Her expression was calm, but Jake felt the slight tremor in her grip. This wasn't only about them anymore, it was about answers, expectations, and the weight of lineage they had to navigate together. "Oh, good. I can't imagine what a family of stuffy suits would think of that," Sarah continued, catching the eye of a distant aunt who responded with an exaggerated gasp. The dimmed lights reflected off the crystal glasses around them, a reminder that this was all staged an elaborate show where every detail was scrutinized. Emily leaned closer, her voice low. "Do you think we should go?" He hesitated, his instincts screaming at him to run away. But the flicker of determination sparked inside him. "No, let us stay," he breathed, squeezing her hand tightly. "I want to be here. I want to show them that we're okay." "Okay," she murmured, her gaze steady, a mix of hope and fear swirling together. The music shifted slightly, filling the air with softer, melodic tones. Jake felt the tension in his body ease as he swayed slightly to the rhythm. The move didn't go unnoticed. His mother caught the shift and walked over, a gentle smile painted across her features. "Isn't it exquisite?" she remarked, glancing around. "The chandeliers, the way the room sparkles, it's like a fairy tale." Jake forced a smile. "Just like you always wanted, right, Mom?" "Exactly," she replied, laughter bubbling up her joy despite the looming presence of his father felt like a beacon. "And you two should dance. It'll lighten the mood." Emily looked up at Jake, eyebrows raised. "We should give them a show, huh?" Maybe a little dance to shake things up, Jake agreed, feeling enthusiastic energy rise. They stepped into the makeshift dance floor framed by family and friends, holding onto each other as they found their rhythm. As they swayed, Jake noticed the whispers and sidelong glances rippling through the crowd. Thoughts clamored in his mind, wondering what they were thinking, but he didn't care. In this moment, their laughs and movements were everything, but then, mid-laugh, Jake caught a glimpse of his father's expression, lurking at the edge of the crowd. His confidence had morphed into a cold stare, disapproval radiating from a man not accustomed to losing control over what belonged to him. The air thickened again, heavy with an impending storm. "You really think this is a game?" Jake's father called out, his voice cutting through the music like a knife. "This isn't just about you two playing house, Jake. You have a legacy to uphold." Jake felt the warmth of Emily beside him dim, her expression shifting to confusion. The feeling inside him twisted into anger. Legacy? Is that all I'm good for? Following a path laid out for me? The room fell silent, and Jake could feel the crushing weight of judgment. He met Emily's eyes, and something resolute burned within him. "I'm not just a product of this family," he declared louder, feeling the energy course through him. "And I won't let anyone dictate who I should love." The moment was electric, reverberating waves of hope and fear. What would happen now? Would his father fight back? Would his family accept this new truth? The tension boiled, a crucible of change poised to erupt. Jake felt Emily shift beside him, drawing a breath, ready for whatever consequence loomed ahead. But in that silence, something felt shifting within, and he wasn't backing down. What awaited them after this revelation? Could love overcome the barriers rigidly built around them? The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant clink of glasses. Jake's heart raced as he stood before his father, the weight of the room pressing down like a heavy blanket. He had never meant to escalate things to this point, but the air crackled with the unfiltered truth. Emily's hand trembled in his, a silent grounding force. Jake's father stepped forward, his expression a mix of hurt and fury. "You think this is just about you? Your decisions affect everyone in this family, not just you." His voice roared, slicing through the incredulous stillness. Jake searched the faces around him: aunt, uncle, distant cousins. Eyes wide, mouth slightly parting, they all watched the drama unfold like a movie. He felt exposed, bare as if he were showing the world his rawest self. "Dad, it's always about you." Jake shot back, anger bubbling. "What about me? My happiness? I'm tired of living in your shadow." The emotional shift in the room carried a palpable charge, and for a split second, Jake wasn't just an heir, he was a son standing up for the love of his life. He held Emily's gaze, and the fear in her eyes made his heart twist. She deserved so much more than a confrontation fueled by family expectations. Legacy, legacy, legacy. Jake felt his voice quiver with conviction. What if I don't want that legacy? What if I want my own life? Jake's mother stepped in, her nurturing eyes pleading. "Please, let us not do this here." Not tonight, but there was no turning back now. Emily squeezed his hand with a strength that rekindled his resolve. She understood the stakes, and her presence reminded him of what truly mattered. He took a deep breath and faced the crowd again. "I'm in love with Emily," he declared, steadying his voice. "It's real, and I won't be ashamed of it. I will not choose a life defined by a legacy that isn't mine." In that moment, Jake felt something shift, not just in himself, but in the air around them. Emily's eyes sparkled in a way they hadn't all night. Relief? Pride? He couldn't tell, but he could see she believed in him just as fiercely as he believed in her. As murmurs started to ripple through the crowd, he focused on his father. "You raised me to be strong, to think for myself. This is my choice." Jake's father blinked, a flash of uncertainty crossing his face. Was it surprise? Regret? Either way, The iron grip he'd held on Jake's life began to fray, just a little, but then, without warning, a loud voice cut through the tension. "And just who do you think you're going to marry, Jake? A nobody from a small town." It was his older cousin, arms crossed, with an expression that demanded allegiance to the family name. "Her name is Emily," he shot back, each word deliberately chosen. "And she's more than enough." Around him, he sensed a mix of shifting opinions. The crowd wasn't just spectators anymore, they were participants. The question was, whose side would they take? Everyone held their breath, waiting for his father to respond, ready for battle or reconciliation. Would his father finally loosen the reins, or would he dig in deeper, determined to defend tradition at any cost? "As if I'd ever approve this," his father clenched his jaw, visibly struggling with the unexpected turn of events. The family tension was thick and charged, alive with the potential for heartbreak or understanding. Uncertainty loomed, but hope flickered ahead. Suddenly, Emily stepped forward, drawing attention. "Mr. Harrison, I respect your family's history. But I love Jake, and isn't that what truly matters?" Her voice rang clear like a bell, sending a ripple through the air. A brave woman standing up for their love, ready to face the family head-on. Jake felt a swell of pride and panic as he realized this moment was only the beginning. What would his father say? Would the walls that had surrounded their hearts begin to crumble, or would Jake find himself standing alone, fighting for a love that might yet remain imperiled? Jake felt the weight of everyone's eyes as they turned to ponder Emily's bold statement. It echoed in the silence, reverberating against the walls adorned with family portraits, reminders of legacy they had all been entrapped in for so long. He watched his father's expression, torn between disbelief and the faint spark of something resembling respect. "Love?" His father scoffed, regaining his authority. "Love doesn't pay the bills or uphold a family name. You think the world cares about your feelings?" Jake couldn't let those words sink in. He took a step forward, fueled by determination. "Maybe I don't want to pay those bills. Maybe I want to create my own future with someone who understands me, who lifts me up instead of holding me down." He nodded toward Emily, her courage igniting something deep inside him. His mother's hand fluttered to her mouth, a gesture of realizing her husband's rigidity might unravel. Jake could see her wrestling with the turmoil in the family's dynamics, wanting nothing more than peace but understanding the importance of this moment. Emily held her ground. "Mr. Harrison, I'm not here to take anything away from Jake. I want him to have everything he desires, and if that's standing by my side, then we can build something together." Murmurs rippled through the crowd again. The presence of discontent, frustration, and hope stirred like a brewing storm. Ideas were bubbling underneath the surface, ready to break free. Jake's cousin sneered, clearly dissatisfied. "And what do you bring to the table, Emily? A flair for poetry? This is business. We're not living in a fairy tale." A shock of anger surged through Jake, ready to defend her. But Emily stopped him with a gentle squeeze of her hand. "I bring love, and that's more valuable than a business card. I bring the strength to support him when he's down, the laughter to lighten his burdens, and a heart that believes in him." In that moment, Jake swelled with gratitude. Here was this woman, standing firm against an army of tradition and judgment, saying aloud what he had always felt. But in the face of familial expectations, was it enough? Jake's father narrowed his eyes, calculating, perhaps hoping for weakness. "Love doesn't change who you are, Jake. You may think you're making a choice, but you're risking everything. You think you can turn your back on your family and this legacy without repercussions? What if I don't care about the repercussions?" Jake challenged, his voice rising. "What if I choose to stand for something real, something that matters?" Jake felt a tingle of realization that his battle wasn't just for him or for Emily, it was for everyone who had ever felt trapped by expectations. It was a fight for both of their futures, a refusal to be defined by others. Then, from the furthest corner of the room, his grandmother spoke up, her voice soft but tinged with authority. "We can create change, Aaron. Life isn't about fighting traditions. It's about evolving them. If Jake's heart leads him here, we need to listen. But Jake's father shook his head as if to dispel her words. You can't just rewrite history. Family means everything in this world. A spark of fear ignited in Jake's chest, uncertainty creeping in as the crowd watched the duel fight. Yes, they were gathered for a celebration of legacy, but whose legacy? As tension filled the air, Jake turned to Emily, searching her eyes for strength, for a sense of direction amidst the chaos. And in that moment, as their fingers intertwined tightly, he realized the battle was just beginning. But would they be strong enough to weather the storm? Or would the expectations and pressures of family pull them apart? Jake held his breath, heart racing. What would happen next? The room fell silent, the weight of their stares pushing down on Jake and Emily like a heavy mist. Jake's heart raced, each beat echoing against the unsettling quiet that followed his father's words. He felt raw and exposed, and yet, standing beside Emily, he found strength he'd never known before. Listen, Emily said, her voice shaking but resolute. Love isn't just a feeling, it's an action. It's what you choose to do every day. You can have a name, a legacy, whatever that means to you, but at the end of the day, it's love that gives it value. Jake's cousin scoffed again, crossing his arms in defiance. And what about loyalty, Emily? You think loyalty is built on whims? What happens when the winds change? This isn't about whims, Jake interjected, his voice steady. This is about knowing who I really am. Emily sees me, not just the family name I carry. His father's expression hardened, brows knit tightly over what had been a secure throne of control. You think running away from your responsibilities is freedom? It's naive, Jake. You'll come to regret this. Every word cut deep, but determination hardened in Jake's chest. No, Dad. I'm not running away. I'm choosing to embrace something real. Something that makes me feel alive. A ripple of murmurs spread throughout the group. Jake noticed his mother's fingers clenching the fabric of her dress, her eyes wide with a blend of shock and affection. She'd always wanted her son to follow his heart, but was this what she envisioned? He could almost hear her heart racing the same way his was. Emily's grip tightened around his fingers, grounding him. Jake, if it means anything, I won't push you away. If you need time, I understand. She trailed off, searching his eyes for clarity, for a sense of shared belief in what they could build together. Time. Jake's chest tightened at the thought of losing her. I don't want time, I want you. I want to fight for what we have. Suddenly, laughter erupted from the crowd. Jake turned, meeting the eyes of an older cousin who seemed unaware of the depth of the moment. Look at them, so young, so passionate. But they learn. Reality isn't kind to dreamers. Jake's blood boiled. And what about reality for you, huh? Is it so great clinging to an old name when it's constricting who you can be? That shot landed, the room bristling with unspoken truths. Jake's family was steeped in tradition, but who could deny their own struggles? He'd seen his cousin behind the repetition of success, just as burdened and trapped. Then, a flicker of movement caught Jake's eye. His grandmother stepped closer, resolving to break the tension. If we're to build any future, we must allow these two to carve their own paths. Love is not a weakness, but a foundation. Jake's heart soared as he glanced at Emily, surprise lighting up her face. Maybe, just maybe, they had an ally. Can't you all see? His grandmother continued, her voice muffled with age yet firm with wisdom. This is our chance to modernize what we hold dear, an opportunity to honor the past while embracing tomorrow. Jake's father shifted again, uncertainty cracking through his stoic facade. But, tradition defines us. It's how we're known. A laugh escaped Jake, a bubbling sound of relief intertwined with disbelief. Tradition is only valuable if it serves us, Dad. It should empower love, not diminish it. I refuse to be a prisoner of expectations. With each heartbeat, hope surged stronger. Jake could see prize-winning paintings under torn labels, a spectrum of future possibilities. He wasn't running away, he was stepping into a vibrant vision where love reclaimed its rightful place. That he turned to Emily, and their eyes locked, transmitting unspoken promises. But just as Jake reached for the future he desperately craved, a loud voice from the back interrupted. "Let us see how long this lasts." All eyes swung towards the voice, and the atmosphere turned electric, charged with uncertainty. The crowd was ready for confrontation, but that tension twisted into something sharper, a challenge. How would they prove their love against all odds? Would this be the moment of truth that brings everything crashing down? Jake's heart raced with the urgent question hanging in the air. Jake's breath hitched, the challenge hanging thick in the air. He could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on him, the gaze of everyone settled like a spotlight on his shoulders. Anger flushed his cheeks, and a knot tightened in his stomach. But amid the brewing chaos, something deep within him ignited. He needed to respond. "Long." Jake shouted back, his voice echoing in the tense room. "What does long mean when you haven't even allowed love a chance? Are we just supposed to stand by and let expectations dictate our lives?" Emily squeezed his hand, her wide eyes reflecting both pride and fear. The murmuring crowd seemed to oscillate between support and skepticism, but Jake felt stronger with each second. "Let us take a vote," called Jake's brother, his voice cutting through the noise. "Let them prove how serious they are if they're really in it for the long haul. Yeah. They can't just say they love each other and expect us to applaud." Another family member chimed in. An uncomfortable silence gripped the room as Jake processed the implications. Proving themselves to family was daunting, but the notion of backing down from this challenge ignited a new wave of resilience within him. "Fine," he declared, his resolve solidified. "But this isn't about a show. This is about understanding. I'll prove my love for Emily, and I'll stand by her through whatever storm we face." The challenge hung there, thick in the air like fog over an impending rain. But as Jake faced his father, he grasped that this wasn't just a matter of hearts, it was an eventuality calling for action. Emily whispered, concern threading through her voice. "Do you really think this is a good idea?" "I don't care what they think," Jake replied fiercely, his heart pounding with intent. "I need you to know that I will fight for us. We are going to do this. Together." The older cousin who mocked them earlier spoke up again. "And what makes you think you'll last longer than the rest of us? Love isn't a fairy tale. It fades, just like those dreams. Or maybe, it grows," Jake shot back, unwavering. "If nurtured correctly, it can revolutionize not only our lives but this family." A sparkle of pride surged through Emily as she listened. Could the chaos morph into something better? Perhaps this was the very crack that could let light flood through. In an unexpected twist, Jake's grandmother spoke once more, her voice unwavering. "What a lovely notion this is. The challenge stands. Let them be together, and we will watch." The tension in the room shifted slightly, words that once held weight starting to loose their grip. Skeptical eyes began to soften, and the tension replaced with curious anticipation, like a theater audience leaning forward for the climax. With adrenaline rushing through him, Jake turned his gaze to Emily. "So, if we're going to do this, we need a plan, something to showcase our love, something they can't deny." Emily nodded, her expression shifting from worry to exhilaration. "I have ideas. We need to show not just our love but how we face adversity together. We can set out on a journey, something that binds us more than anything else." He smiled, her determination radiating like warmth on a crisp day. "What's next then?" As thoughts of their mission took shape, Jake felt the energy in the room shift yet again. This moment felt crucial. The challenge loomed large, but so did their desire to face it together. "Let us show them that love isn't merely a feeling, it's our action over the next weeks," replied Emily, a beautiful fire igniting in her eyes. Laughter erupted again, this time mixed with cheers. Family members leaned in, curiosity replacing doubt. Victory wasn't guaranteed, but every heartbeat echoed the indescribable thrill of knowing they were on the brink of something remarkable. As they began weaving their plans, the front door creaked open. A figure stepped inside, their lost cousin, someone they thought was lost to the past. And the energy in the room shifted yet again. Could this interruption break their newfound momentum or breathe new life into their journey? Jake's heart raced, uncertainty mixed with hope. A new chapter awaited. The moment the door swung open, silence engulfed the room. Jake's heart skipped a beat. Standing there, framed by the dim light of the hallway, was their cousin Ryan. The very one they'd all spoken about in hushed tones, lost to choices that had carved a distance in the family. Ryan? Jake's voice cracked as the name slipped from his lips. The man they had once looked up to, now seemingly a ghost from their past. Ryan stepped inside, his expression a mixture of embarrassment and resolve. "Hey, everyone," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. A sudden wave of apprehension washed over the room, crowding the air like thick fog. What would he say next? Jake's throat tightened as he gripped Emily's hand tighter, seeking reassurance. The older voices had once said he was living a life of excess. But could he truly offer them all a lesson in love? I know I wasn't around, but I had some time to think," Ryan began, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. "When I heard about the challenge you guys are facing, it struck me." Jake's heart hammered. This wasn't just about them, it was about family. Could Ryan's return spark a shift in how they all viewed love and commitment? The room remained still, eyes darting, half curious and half skeptical. Ryan took a deep breath, shaking off the tension. "I'm here to support you too," he finally said, his voice strengthening. "Maybe, just maybe, I can share what I've learned." Emily's eyes widened in surprise. "You want to help us?" "Absolutely," he nodded, glancing around at faces that had once held warmth but now seemed clouded with uncertainty. "I didn't understand love when I had it. I thought money could fix everything. Look where it got me." Jake felt a flicker of recognition in Ryan's pain. He had seen glimpses of loneliness and despair in his cousin's lifestyle, masked by glamour. Was Ryan really willing to connect and help them fight for their love? "What did you learn?" Jake asked, his voice steady, sensing a common thread forming. Ryan looked directly at him, sincerity pouring from his eyes. "Love is not found in grand gestures or wealth. It's in the small moments, the quiet support and the shared laughter through trouble. It's a choice we need to make every single day." Emily's hand found Jake's again, their fingers intertwined as they listened intently. For a moment, the chaos faded away. It wasn't just a chance for them, Ryan's return might bridge the gap within the family too. As Ryan shared stories of his past mistakes and the loneliness that followed, the atmosphere shifted like a gust of fresh wind. It was as if his vulnerability had cracked something within the family. The barriers that had long separated them began to dissolve. "I want to help you guys show everyone what real love looks like," Ryan finally said, determination painted on his face. "Maybe we can do this together." The realization washed over Jake and Emily. This new chapter wasn't just theirs anymore. With Ryan stepping in, their fight to prove their love could take on a whole different dimension. But just as the weight of hope filled the room, the door swung open once more. Another figure emerged, casting a long shadow over Jake's heart. Who was it now? And how would this new arrival affect the precarious journey they were on? A flood of uncertainty crashed over him, but a spark of excitement ignited too. The story was unfolding, but what twist awaited them next? Jake's heart raced as the door swung open again, revealing another familiar face, his childhood friend, Ben. His wild curls bobbed as he stepped in, eyes wide and brimming with enthusiasm. The tension melted slightly as some family members greeted him with nods and smiles, still processing Ryan's unexpected appearance. "Hey, is this a family reunion or a soap opera?" Ben quipped, the humor cutting through the heavy air. Jake snorted despite his nerves. Relief washed over him momentarily, filling the room with pockets of laughter. "It's a bit of both, actually," Emily replied, glancing at Jake with a spark of mischief. Their bond felt even stronger in these moments, their shared laughter turning the tide against the weight of family judgments looming over them. Ben's expression shifted from playful to earnest. "Seriously, though. Jake, I heard about everything. I'm in your corner, man." He stepped forward, looking each family member in the eye. "Everyone here needs to understand that the kind of love Jake and Emily have isn't just a whim, it's real. And it's what we should all strive for." The crowd shifted, uncertainty and curiosity flickering in their eyes. Once again, the momentum was gaining, twisting like a whirlwind tumbling through their lives. Jake could feel their presence drawing closer, their support, and oddly enough, his heart lightened even more. "Ryan, taking the reins, shared, we're doing this together, family. We're creating something new." These two reminded me of the true meaning of love, something I lost sight of for years. His honesty wrapped around them like a warm blanket, comforting and inviting. "But it's not just on them. Love needs support," Ben piped in, glancing toward the corner where family members had begun to huddle, listening intently. "Everyone here has the power to either help shape this into a nightmare or inspire a fairy tale ending." Jake felt a flicker of hope ignite again. Could this really be possible? Emily stepped closer to Jake, her warm fingers intertwining with his. "What if we began a new tradition? We could blend our two worlds where struggles meet joy. Let us show you how powerful love can be through action, together." Her words hung in the air, charging the entire room with renewed energy. "Yeah!" Jake exclaimed, finally finding his voice. "We'll create memories, not just grand displays but real shared moments that represent who we are. And they matter. Let us kick it off with something simple, just us and our love," Ben suggested, bouncing ideas off the walls that had once confined them. The joy was infectious, spreading faster than anyone could have imagined, everybody leaning in like they were participants in a game, where laughter and camaraderie replaced judgment. What started as a challenge had morphed into an opportunity, one that painted a bright possibility for families who struggled among old ideals and new feelings. "I've got a thought," Ryan said suddenly, renewed vigor shimmering in his eyes. "Let us host a community event, something people can all participate in without stigma. Show them all how love unites, regardless of wealth or status. Fundraise for the local food bank and invite everyone in. Let us showcase what we stand for together." Emily's excitement was contagious. She spun around in delight, drawing in family members who seemed more eager to listen. "This is where love becomes a force," Jake added, heart swelling with hope. "This way, we'll highlight our commitment to one another and our community. It isn't just about our pasts, we're shaping our future." The murmurs in the room shifted, becoming encouraging whispers. People began nodding along, some even smiling warmly, as feelings gathered like storm clouds ready to burst with abundant possibility. Hope danced beneath the surface of skepticism. Could this really bridge their worlds? Jake locked eyes with his father, who held an expression of surprise and contemplation. Perhaps a flicker of understanding began to kindle in his heart. The moment felt pivotal, enough to light a fire of acceptance even among the family's most tradition-bound members. "Okay, let us do it," Jake's father finally spoke, a mix of surprise and submission filtering through his voice. "But you need to know this journey is only as strong as your commitment. As long as you're both willing to pour your hearts into this, it matters." Jake's heart soared, gratitude filling every particle of his being. "We're ready." As plans unfolded, Jake felt weight lift from his shoulders, anticipation thrilling him as they embraced the commitment ahead. Surrounded by both familiar and newfound allies, they stood resilient against the swirling winds of expectation, prepared to face any challenge together, and as the laughter crescendoed, the stress dissipated, leaving room for unfiltered dreams and possibilities. For Jake and Emily, love became more than just a word, it became a living promise that in the end, realization cast its shine over them. Love, they discovered, wasn't an isolated emotion. It was a battlefield of support, laughter, and community that could unearth the buried treasures of kindness. Together, they had forged a path ahead, one where love battled against tradition, rekindling warmth and kindness, creating connections that would ripple throughout generations to come. So if you felt that spark while reading, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for the channel and not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep the love alive. I'd love to know your thoughts, so comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share your thoughts on how love can conquer it all.